Paul, I'd love to ask you about the fracturing we're seeing at the moment in the relationship between Joe Biden and Benjamin Netanyahu. There's been rare public criticism that's just becoming stronger and stronger. Israel needs the United States to be its ally, and if there is criticism, for it to be said in private, but that's not what we're seeing here.
Oh no, I mean, this is now just an open rift. It's particularly dangerous, and I think it's very deep-seated. There are fundamental differences now between Biden and Netanyahu, and these are going to be particularly tricky to navigate. I think there are three main differences. One is how this war is being pursued at the moment, with the Americans concerned, the Americans wanting some form of ceasefire. So you've got a difference there. Then you've got a difference in terms of the political arrangements in Gaza after the war. And then, of course, in terms of the long-term framework, there's a fundamental difference between Netanyahu, who is opposed to a two-state solution, and Biden, who is committed to it. So I think this fracturing is really important. Important to stress, however, that the United States continues to support Israel. The United States continues to provide military aid to Israel, but these differences are very substantial.
There was news today that Benjamin Netanyahu was furious by this so-called intelligence report that suggested his leadership was over. Paul, you don't need an intelligence report to tell you that his leadership is over because he oversaw October 7. It happened on his watch. And, you know, I've never been a vocal critic of Netanyahu. I think it's up to Israelis to have their democratic elections. But this happened on his watch. And the reality is that it's not just him. All of the heads of the departments, of the Defence Force, the intelligence, etc., they will all have to go. That's my information.
No question about that at all. I mean, Netanyahu failed. His strategy failed because he believed that Hamas could be contained. That was proved to be wrong. The operational and intelligence failure around October 7 is unforgivable. Netanyahu at some point will have to go. He will go. There's no question about that. It's just a question of how this happens and what happens in the interim.
Yeah, exactly. Paul Kelly, I can't give you enough praise for your columns every single week. They are the best thing about The Australian. Thank you very much for joining me.
Very good to be here.